Okay, let's meet our players. Now over here in the red corner, let's hear it for 66. He's known as one of the best players in China. He's also represented his country in the 2005-2006 Grand Final. Phoenix66, come on out, give her a round of applause. Right here, folks. All right, go ahead and take the sponsor. There you go. All right. Now in the blue pod from Germany, we've got GoOdy. GoOdy took second place in the China Championship, and this is GoOdy's first appearance at the WCG. Come on out, GoOdy. Give him a round of applause. There he is. Let him hear it, folks. Come on, get him fired up. I'm now going to toss it to two of the world's best commentators, DJ Wheat and Tasteless. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
All right. Audience, are you ready? All right, well, let's get this match started. Enjoy the match, everyone, and I'll see you when we have a winner.
All right, folks, this is it. This is the game that will kick off the World Cyber Games 2007 here in Seattle. I am DJ Wheat. Joining me is Tasteless. We're from GGL Wire and Tasteless. It's always nice to kick things off with a little bit of StarCraft.
Nothing better than StarCraft, my man. And I got to say, with two players like this, I just cannot wait to see how it's going to turn out. It's going to be a great match. GoOdy and Phoenix, both excellent Protoss players. I'm just ready to get this thing going. I
am too, and we've got a lot of action happening here today on the stage. You can see we're going to have two StarCraft matches. Then we're going to be switching over to Warcraft 3, where we're actually going to be treated to an awesome matchup between Todd and Spirit Moon from the group stages. And we'll also be seeing Sky from China. We're going to end things off at the end of the day with some Counter-Strike. Team EG taking on WCG medalist Virtus Pro. And we should have some great action up here on stage all day long. Now, Tasteless, one of the things I love about WCG 2007 is obviously we get to commentate together. And Tasteless is known as the Storm Observer. He is the StarCraft master. Well, I will play the role of the RTS newbie. And I play it well.
You know what? I got to say, it's great to be here casting with you, Marcus. And it's great to be casting for these two awesome players. The map is going to be Azealia. It's an awesome map. It's one of these maps that does not have a ramp. Now, that really impacts the game a lot. They're not going to be able to position a few zealots to block off early on, so they may have to play defensively, but who knows, they may be able to tech really fast too. Protoss versus Protoss on a map like this, you have a lot of options on how you can open.
Well, we'll talk about the map a little bit more in just a second. Let's introduce the players from Group C. We've got Phoenix66. And history in 2006, round of 8, so he made it to the top 8. He also had competed in World Cyber Games 2005 and known as one of the best players coming out of China. How he's going to perform here today, I don't know. But one thing to take into consideration, Tasteless, is that he does have previous World Cyber Games experience. And I think that does come into play with these competitions.
Yeah, absolutely. With a game like StarCraft, especially if you don't live in Korea, you don't get as many opportunities to play on LAN, and that really can really impact you when you actually show up somewhere. Especially with a game that requires 300 APM, you really have to be focusing. You don't really have a lot of room for error, and I think Phoenix definitely has an advantage there. I also noticed that it said that Phoenix was going to be playing Terran this game. I guess I was misinformed. I thought it was going to be a Protoss versus Protoss, but it looks like it'll be a Terran versus Protoss. But that's great because that's a fun matchup to watch as well.
I guess we won't actually know until the game gets underway. But in the red pod, we've got Phoenix66. Let's meet the player in the blue pod. We've got GoOdy coming all the way from Germany, his first World Cyber Games appearance. And that's a big deal, especially in the world of StarCraft, where traditionally the game is dominated by the players from Korea, making it over here and actually getting a chance to compete in the World Cyber Games. It's sort of an honor, even if you do get owned by some Koreans throughout the group stages or into the top 16. It'll be interesting to see how a player who's fresh to World Cyber Games, who has never actually competed here, will fare. Because one of the great things about WCG is the fact that we see competition from from international corners of the world, and you don't typically see that in a lot of, say, a lot of the pro league stuff that's coming out of Korea. So what are your thoughts on that, Nick? The fact that, we get to see all the talent in StarCraft from around the world.
Well, I think it's great because it certainly breaks the stereotype that only Koreans play StarCraft, which is just not the case. StarCraft's played on every corner of the earth. One of the reasons is because it's an old game. It can run on any computer, but I think the biggest reason is because it's an excellent game. I think it's the best RTS game ever made, and I think it's great to see, watch these players play and give them an opportunity to show off their skills as well.
All right, well, I believe we're going to be looking at the map next, and before I do, I just want to give a shout out to our StarCraft friends over at Team Liquid. I look forward to all of the flames this year, and everything that comes with it. So, guys, I hope you're following along with the event. I know you guys are, and it's our pleasure to be here casting this. Taking a look at the map, and Tasteless touched on it a little bit earlier today, but here it is, 3D overview, taking us to the 2D look. This is Azalea, and it is a 4-player map, so scouting will be required. Unlike, say, a map like Paranoid Android, where there's only 2 spawn points, there's going to be 4 on this stage. And tell us a little bit more, because there's a lot of water on this stage, a lot of terrain that, unless you're going shuttles, etc., you're not going to be able to get over. So where are the important parts of this map today, Tasteless?
Well, first thing to notice is that there are 2 natural expansions you can take pretty early on. And also, like I said earlier, that there's no ramp, so that means it's not going to be easy to block off and tech very quickly, although good players can sometimes still get away with that. The spiral-like shape of the map makes it so that if you have center control, you're definitely going to be in the advantage. So I think late game it's going to turn out to be a battle for the center, forcing your army to not be able to escape its base, and that's
sort of like the biggest choke point in history. If you can control this, you can pretty much control the pace of the map.
Absolutely.
Well, it looks like we're about ready to get started here. You guys ready for the first official match of the World Cyber Games 2007? I think they are.
I think they are.
I think they are. This is Phoenix66 from China taking on GoOdy from Germany. As soon as these players are ready, we will be underway.
Both players getting ready. Looks like the game's going to start any second now. Again, this is GoOdy versus Phoenix. And Azalea.
Coming up next, we're going to see Android, who is actually one of the few non-Korean players who's actually done very, very well in the history of the World Cyber Games. So don't forget, there will be another StarCraft match immediately after this one.
We're still waiting for this match to get going here. There may be some technical difficulties, but I believe it's going to get started pretty soon here.
I don't see Phoenix in yet. Now, let's just talk about the possibilities here, because although we saw that Phoenix66 may be playing Terran, we originally expected this to be actually a Protoss versus Protoss match. Tell us a little bit about what you think we could expect out of something like a Protoss mirror match.
Well, I thought it was going to be a Protoss versus Protoss. Now, Protoss versus Terran is going to play a little bit differently. Let me go ahead and just talk about Protoss versus Terran for a minute. Again, this is going to be one of these things where Terran's going to be able to get the double expansion up pretty fast, and that really makes it difficult for Protoss, in my opinion. Especially when most maps, the Terran has to push out and try to fight for that expansion. On a map like this, it's not going to be hard for him. And I know that GoOdy is obviously he's going to be taking that into account here, and that will affect his play a lot. It's also going to be a big question of where does GoOdy expand? Is he going to be taking another main fast? Because again, if Terran can get center control of that, he can trap a Protoss's army pretty easily.
Yeah, you're right. Now, what if we have a mirror match, Protoss versus Protoss? What would you expect, especially considering that in the middle of Azalea there is that giant choke point, basically a place where a lot of action is going to take place?
Well, similar to the Protoss versus Terran matchup, I think with the center control of the map, what we could see is a Protoss amassing a large army. And again, in order to get into the middle of the map, there's only a very small kind of a funnel-like entry point to get out of your base. So if one Protoss player can maintain control of the center, then he can definitely get ahead. But at the same time, early game Protoss versus Protoss, you have to be very careful to not lose any probes, and attack at the right rate, not waste time getting too many defenses. but also not not throw your units away. So it's going to be a very delicate matchup if it comes down to Protoss versus Protoss.
Well, we should be getting started here shortly. While we're waiting for the match to get started, Tasteless, maybe we could talk a little bit about our predictions for the event as a whole. And granted, this is the first match on stage for the World Cyber Games 2007 here in Seattle. You saw some shots of upstairs where the players have already situated themselves in the area, and the games are definitely underway. But let's talk specifically about StarCraft. Traditionally, StarCraft, in fact, traditionally almost all the time is dominated by the Koreans. In fact, I don't believe that we've seen them get a medals. And hold on, we're going to go to this match. We'll talk about that later. All right, folks, it looks like we are going to get started here. It's the WCG 2007 Grand Final from Seattle, Washington. Our first matchup here on stage is China player Phoenix66, and it does look like he's going to play Terran, Nick, versus the German player GoOdy, who will be playing as the Protoss race. Now, this is the first time GoOdy has actually competed at a World Cyber Games. Phoenix66, he's sort of a veteran, if you will. He's been here a couple years, and we could sit here and throw down predictions all day long. But the one thing that I would definitely say, Tasteless, is that I think that Phoenix66 has that slight advantage, having competed in a World Cyber Games before.
Oh, definitely. You know, I've talked to so many StarCraft players down here who just say that, you know, they feel like they can play so well at home, but once they show up, once they see all these people watching them play, they feel their eyes on them, you know, it gets a lot harder, you know. And we're going to see if it affects GoOdy this game.
And you can hear by the countdown that we are now officially going to be underway. Group C of the full league. Phoenix66 playing as Terran, taking on GoOdy, Protoss from German. And what we're going to ask Tasteless to do here, first off, we see the starting locations here. We've got Phoenix66 in the red as the Terran. He started in the southwest corner, or the 7 o'clock position. His opponent, GoOdy, has started in the southeast position as the Protoss. And let's talk a little bit about the opening builds, Tasteless, especially how this map and how the different race combination that we've got here, Protoss versus Terran, how that can actually affect how these guys might build order early on in the game.
Well, I think at this point in time, it's safe to say that Protoss is going to get one gateway, get his gas early on, and then go for your cybernetic score, because Zealots really aren't that helpful against Terran. Now, there's some interesting tactics you can use with Zealots early on, so that doesn't mean that option is out completely, but he will probably be teching and trying to get those Dragoons. Those Dragoons are good against what the Terran will most likely get. That's going to be, the Terran's going to get a barracks, he's going to get his gas, and then he's going to open up with a factory. Now, he needs to get that factory because factory units like tanks, vulture bikes, and Goliaths are much stronger against Protoss units. So at this point in time, both players start out taking pretty early. And right off the bat, I want to point this out. It looks like Phoenix is going to wall off at that second choke rather than the first one. Now, that may make him very susceptible to a rush from GoOdy.
Well, and obviously through the scouting, and one thing about Azalea is it's a 4-player starting location, so this SCV is actually going to have to hightail it out of there, getting assaulted by that probe, and he will have another SCV come in and take it on. Here we see a couple of pylons going up as well as another gateway, and it looks like there might have, no, actually that's just outside in the natural expansion, but this probe from GoOdy is going to come in, check things out, see if anything unusual is going on. Also new to the overlays here at WCG, you can see that we've also got a resource counter as well as a unit counter, which will come in very handy as we discuss not only the economy of the players, but also how many units and how large their army actually is. Now, tell us a little bit here. We've got a factory now going up there as well, a barracks going up as well, and the supply depot here. The one probe is back, but what do you feel like Phoenix66 is actually going to do with those two buildings? Well,
at this point in time, I just want to point out real fast how good GoOdy's probe micro is right now. He is really screwing up the Terran. He is using this probe to distract the SCVs from building the units. Now, I'm sorry, what was your second question? I just had to point out how good that was.
We've got a barracks there. Obviously, you mentioned earlier that he was trying to create a wall here. Is he going to lift that barracks, or will it just stay there throughout the entire match as he just tries to keep GoOdy's army from coming into his main base?
He's going to lift that barracks off when he feels comfortable leaving his base. Right now, GoOdy is going to do everything he can. Since that Wallen is closer to his base than it would be, as you can see where the factory's building, normally Terran's Wallen over there. So he's going to be a little bit susceptible to the rush, so he's going to have to defend that well. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult with GoOdy doing such an excellent job harassing him with his probe from hell.
Dude, this is a probe of mass destruction. This single probe has not been able to take down an SCV, but what it has done is it's done a lot of early harassment here in this matchup. It looks like we've got the first Zealot out right now, and he's going to go to town on this supply depot. Now, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to take it out on his own, but do you feel like GoOdy's got an early advantage here in this matchup?
Definitely. As you can see, he's going to have to send this SCV up here. He's going to have to repair this depot. Now, that's going to cost him some money, and if he gets behind in his minerals, I mean, he'll get his other stuff out later on. Now, here comes the Marine. Eventually, GoOdy's going to pull back that Zealot. There it goes if you watch the mini-map. Meanwhile, this other Marine is preoccupied with trying to get rid of the scouting probe. He wants to get rid of that scouting probe because if GoOdy sees exactly what kind of tech pattern Phoenix is following, he just responds, oh, and he lifted off that barracks right now. And if he gets out underneath there, and he did, this is going to be very bad right now for Phoenix. Phoenix immediately leaning that barracks. He doesn't want to let anything else in there, but right now it's going to be up to Micro, Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got one Dragoon, and we've got one Zealot inside, a couple Marines, and a few SCVs. SCVs are going to surround that Zealot. They take out his plasma shield right away. He will go down, but what about this Dragoon? The SCV's now going up against the Dragoon. Phoenix66 doing a great job not losing any units there, and maybe that was exactly the right idea there. Lifting the barracks, letting those units in, and then using the little force that he had to actually take it out. How is this Micro right here? The Dragoon is trying to get away. He does finally take out his first unit, a single Marine, but now he's outside going to town once again on that supply depot.
I gotta say, Phoenix had excellent Micro back there. I am really impressed. GoOdy should have been able to do more damage with that, but he didn't. So, GoOdy's going to be a little bit more behind. I really thought that was going to swing in his favor, but it looks like Phoenix is able to stay on top, even with probes from hell and accidentally letting units into his base. He can still stay ahead this game. Meanwhile, GoOdy's coming up here. He's got Dragoon range finished, as you can see by how far that Dragoon hits. Now he's going to have to micro his tank very carefully, Phoenix will. And, okay, siege mode is up, but is it in range of the Dragoons? It's in range of that one. He has to edge out. Excellent control by Phoenix, and an expansion going up right now.
Good prediction there on the range. He was able to get at least one shot off there with that siege tank in siege mode. There you see the main base of Phoenix now moving on to the main base of GoOdy. Now GoOdy doesn't have, he hasn't really worked towards any natural expansions. In my opinion, GoOdy has actually spent a little bit more time getting those units out earlier. And that's something that you actually discussed with me early on. And one advantage that the Protoss might actually have. Do you feel like it's working in GoOdy's favor so far in this matchup?
Well, GoOdy's definitely got Phoenix on his toes. Although it looks like at this point in time, GoOdy is not expanding. He's going to play very aggressively. Now we see the Robo Bay and the Templar Archives. Now what does that mean? It means that he's going to be going for a Dark Templar drop, and that could be very difficult for Phoenix to defend. As you see, Phoenix is very spread out. He has his Wallen over there, an expansion over there, and as we see down here, his main is right there. Now, those are 3 spots he's going to have to defend, and I don't know if he's going to have enough units to defend those Dark Templar. Again, Dark Templar cloak, and you need either towers or a scanner to see that, and if they're not there, you're in big trouble.
Now, the one advantage I do see to what Phoenix66 is doing is that he's got that wall up before his natural expansion. So, even though he's got to defend that natural expansion, it's going to be pretty tough for any Protoss units to make it through there without either A, taking down those buildings, or without maybe even going with some sort of a shuttle drop as well. So we finally get a natural expansion coming out from GoOdy. As far as resources and unit count, it does look like Phoenix66 has a little bit larger army, but in the grand scheme of things, he's also got a second expansion up, so a lot of that could be SCVs as well. So there we do finally see a shuttle coming out. What this shuttle will actually do right now, it's anyone's guess, but what's your thoughts?
I think he's going to go for the DT drop. Now, he has to be very careful at this point in time. Phoenix has a little bit of an edge economically, but that could all change within seconds because the Dark Templars are such devastating units. Now, note the 2 scanners here. He's going to have to use the shuttle and the Dark Templar very carefully. Here come the DTs now. And the attack is about to begin. He's going to go for that scanner right away, Marcus. If he gets that scanner, he'll be down 1 scan. At the same time, though, if he can get out... Okay, here comes the scan. The unit's coming in here right now. He gets rid of it and picks it up in time.
Very, very nice. I noticed also that he did not have any missile turrets at his main base. He had one set up at that forward choke where he had the barracks as well as the supply depot. But it seems like this shuttle now is just having no problems making it through the back line of Phoenix66. You can now see these DTs are going to town on this one barracks, and that could set him back. Also, great work by the shuttle there, picking them up when in danger. And as you mentioned, that having those scanners down, it's pretty much free reign for GoOdy to do whatever he wants right now.
And notice how he's picking up the Dark Templar with the shuttles when the Terran scans it. Now that's excellent move right there, because without, the scanner can't scan endlessly. It has to rebuild energy, and if it doesn't have that energy, well, then, I mean, he just can't scan it. Okay, here comes another scan. He did lose a Dark Templar there. I did not see if he saved the other one, although if we see another one pop out, I guess we'll find out. But at this point in time, it looks like the shuttle is retreating.
Yeah, obviously Phoenix66, after experiencing that shuttle drop right there, or that DT drop by the shuttle, he's put up a few extra missile turrets around the base. Now, it doesn't look like he still has one here at his first natural expansion, but I would guess that he's going to, in fact, there he is. He dropped it right next to that supply depot. He's going to start going to town on it, and there's no units around there. Should see a scan here shortly, and maybe some of those sieges coming up. There's a few Marines coming in from the south, but I think that this supply depot will go down, and it does. DT all by himself now, immediately going to go after these Marines. He'll just kind of like join in there with the group. Now, we do see the first Vulture Bite going beyond this barricade here. As you can see, the barracks has been lifted. What do you think that GoOdy's going to do with these Dragoons that are just sort of chilling out here behind that choke point?
Well, his goal at this point in time, since Terran is being forced to spend a lot of scans trying to get rid of these DTs, he wants these Dragoons to stop any scouting units from finding out whether or not GoOdy has gotten his second expansion, and he hasn't yet. Instead, he's massing up a large army in fear of a possible push. However, Phoenix seems to have a pretty sizable army and is getting a second expansion. And again, if you look at the distance on the mini-map between their bases, it would be a pretty easy walk for GoOdy to make it all the way over there and then cut off the exit. It'd be a pretty easy walk for Phoenix to get up there to GoOdy's entrance and cut off any circulation. So at this point in time, GoOdy's goal is to stop the inevitable push that will come, but at the same time catch up economically. And that's going to be a little bit tricky to do, because I don't think his early rush was as effective as he would have wanted it to be.
All right, well, it seems like things have slowed down just a little bit here as both players begin to mass up additional armies. As you can see, weapons of choice here for Phoenix66. He's got several siege cakes. I count about 9 there on the screen, about 4 Vulture Bikes as well. Here we've got another Nexus going down. So a second expansion finally coming out here by GoOdy, and that may actually give him a little bit of an economic push. Now, here the barracks is lifted. I see Vultures, a whole group of them, are now going to head out. We've also got a little army here of zealots that are making their way out now, and this army is massing just outside of GoOdy's base. We've now got spider mines going down here by these Vulture Bites here in the center at the choke point, and I don't know. I mean, he's obviously going to have to deal with those as he goes through. There we see the first Vulture Bites meeting up with a group of Dragoons, and they say hello in their own little way.
Okay, at this point in time, he did plant a few mines over there at the next logical expansion that GoOdy would take. We also see that GoOdy has researched Storm and Zealot Legs.
I like that overlay. That's pretty hot.
That's pretty cool. And that's going to be helpful if Phoenix pushes too quickly. The Psionic Storm will be. But at this point in time, as I said before the game, Terran's just going to sit back and mass up as many units as he can with these 2 expansions. And when the time is right, when he feels that moment has come, he's going to push out and try to crush the Protoss. All the Protoss has to do, the burden of the Protoss, is to simply sit back and make as many units and mass up and then stop the Terran when the push starts. Now that the early game's over, at least. I also see 2 forges going down. That's going to be for attack and armor. And that's going to be very helpful, when fighting those Terran units. Although I believe I also saw, some upgrades going on for Phoenix as well. So, they might end up with pretty even upgrades early on, and they may cancel each other out. We'll see. There's some more supply depots going down right now for the Terran player Phoenix. So many that I actually think he might have missed a depot. But at this point in time, we're just going to have to sit back and wait and see what happens. And here it comes, Marcus, the dreaded Terran push.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to happen here right now, and you know, despite the fact that there were some spider mines down there, that will not stop Goody from also making some sort of a push. A very large army of vulture bikes as well as siege tanks are going to pull out here, and here we go. It looks like the Dragoons will get the upper hand here as the siege tanks go into siege mode. We got all of the Templars coming up now and moving into position, but what do we got going on here, Tasteless?
Goody is pushing the Terran push back, but the question is, do they have enough units to push him back any farther? Another great storm right there, and another one, and Protoss will pull back. Now, was that enough? Did that do the job? Terran is continuing to push aggressively, but he's also wasting a few vulture bikes. Now, Goody has to re-macro his army out here, and he has to stop this push coming fast, too.
Let's talk a little bit about that storm right there. There was obviously a massive army there by Phoenix66. Two very, very nice size storm drops there. Tell us how important that is, especially in the micro against a large army.
Oh, it's so crucial. You know, if you clump your tanks together, they can get stormed so easily, and that can hurt you so much in a game like this. But it hurts to lose a Templar as well, especially when vulture bikes are running inside of your base, about to kill so many probes. You cannot afford to lose them. Planting mines in the probe line, so that when those zealots come in there, they will blow up along with those probes. Goody has to defend these probes right now, and oh my God! Losing all of his probes with that expansion, that will really hurt his economy. And that is really going to make that Terran push that much stronger.
That was definitely devastation there on the probes. We'll have to see a probe graveyard popping up here in just a second. Some more Dragoons going down there. In fact, 4 get wiped out as well. But actually, that may not have been too bad in the grand scheme of things, because there was a whole nother group of probes coming up there to try to save the economy, and those Dragoons sort of like took the hit for a team.
They took one for the team right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that Terran is getting dangerously close to cutting off any exit that the Protoss may have at this point in time. As you can see, Terran has a large army right outside that entry point, and he's also expanding again, judging from the mini-map, at that middle left expo. Now, Goody's going to have to come up with something fast. Now, I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know if it's carriers, arbiters, or a lot of shuttles that harass the Terran, but right now, Goody is in a very difficult position. And
it does look like Phoenix66 is really, we talked earlier about it on Azalea, how important that middle area is going to be. Well, not only has Phoenix66 said, I am taking this area, he's put down his flag, he's put down his stake, but in addition, he's really now starting to move into the base of Goody, which could not be good. So tell us, Tasteless, defensively and offensively, what can Goody do right now to try to stop Phoenix66?
It's going to be difficult. Well, it looks like this is going to be a solution right now. He's going to send these zealots out here and try to pick off whatever army Terran has. Here comes the Templar, going to storm those tanks that are close together. But there are so many bikes. It just does not matter. And that was a very big blunder by Goody back there. And look at these bikes going insane right now, planting so many mines up here. The Terran pushes even closer, Marcus.
Yeah, exactly. He's almost just like a giant virus that is spreading towards the base of Goody. You saw there the vulture bikes going in. The siege tanks have now moved closer into position, gone into siege mode. I think that they are going to be in range to at least start hitting some of these buildings that we've got here for Goody. And these spider mines continue to wreck not only the units of Goody, but also, and there it is, GG just pushed in way too far. Goody couldn't handle it. He had some very nice pushes earlier on. What do you think the turning point of this match was?
Well, I think it was a couple of things. I think, first of all, when he did that early rush and it wasn't successful like it should have been, it really got him behind. I think it was a great rush. It just, he didn't control it as well as he could have. And the DTs could have done more damage, but I think, losing the Zealot and the Dragoon early on and really sacrificing so many units didn't help. And then after that, I think it was just a game of macro.
Well, very, very nicely played. Goody gets his first experience of what it's like here at the World Cyber Games at 2007 here in Seattle. The winner is Phoenix66, and we've got more StarCraft coming up. How excited are you, Tasteless?
I am freaking out. I'm so excited.
I figured as much. This is DJ Wheat and Tasteless here for the World Cyber Games 2007 Grand Finals, and we're going to have another another StarCraft match in just a moment. Counter-Strike you'll have to wait for. That's not going to be till the end of the day. So stand by. More StarCraft coming at you in just a moment.